Hi, Liz.
How do you interpret this latest missile?
I interpret it as a significant provocation by North Korea and a demonstration that the president's policy of focusing on China, new UN sanctions, and some pretty tough rhetoric still hasn't gotten their attention sufficiently. It's still not working.
Well, when it comes to sanctions, will they work? I know these things sometimes take time, but we put together a list, and we noticed that there aren't many more, I guess, abilities through sanctions to twist and harm somehow North Korea into stopping their nuclear program. Textiles, maybe a few more Chinese banks that do business with North Korea. I think we've already hit a couple with sanctions, but how much longer do we wait for sanctions to kick in?
I think we do wait longer. I think the card that hasn't been played is really the card of compelling serious Chinese enforcement of the sanctions themselves. I think that the Chinese have been playing a bit of a double game with us. They go along with these UN sanctions, but then the enforcement is like Swiss cheese and very weak. And now I think we're reaching a point in this crisis where North Korea really is on the verge of having ICBMs, nuclear tip, that can destroy the western part of the United States.
Okay, hold on. That is extremely worrisome. You say on the verge. Is there, you know, your idea of on the verge and my idea of on the verge might be different. Can you define that? Months?
Yeah, certainly months, within the next year. I think that is what the North Koreans are driving for. Every indication is that they've consistently made faster progress than our intelligence community has predicted. I don't think we can take any chances here. I don't think we can go slow. The next and final step, if we're going to have any chance of getting a peaceful resolution of this conflict, is for the Chinese to at last step up and lower the economic hammer on Kim Jong-un, which I think effectively means a Chinese economic blockade of North Korea.
Wow, a blockade. That gets even more serious. John, the internal battle of how to deal with North Korea appears to have already claimed one victim in the Trump administration. It was back on August 10th that Sebastian Gorka, a former advisor to President Trump, publicly shunned Secretary of State Rex Tillerson's assurance that nuclear war with North Korea was not imminent. Here's what Gorka said to the BBC first.
You should listen to the president. The idea that Secretary Tillerson is going to discuss military matters is simply nonsensical.
Well, the State Department, you may remember, scoffed at Gorka's comments, and just a few hours later on Fox News, I questioned Gorka about what he said. Listen, and then I'll have you react. I believe this morning you gave an interview to BBC Radio during which you said that it was nonsensical for Secretary of State Rex Tillerson to discuss military matters and that he was out of line. Let's hear what she...
Never said that.
You've never said
I never said the Secretary of State was out. That's fake news 101.
John, he denied that he was saying anything about, as he put it, the great Secretary Tillerson. As a foreign policy expert, is Gorka right or is he wrong? Should we listen to both Tillerson and Defense Secretary James Mattis and diplomacy plus military?
Well, I think you've got to listen to the designated figures who are in charge of American national security policy. First and foremost, the Secretary of Defense and the Secretary of State. And you need to have a national security process organized by the president that enforces discipline, coherence, and unity of message on these critical, highly sensitive national security matters. I think the administration has, if there's a real criticism to make of them on this side of policy, they've lacked all of those things: sufficient coherence, discipline, and unity of message. One can only hope that in the face of something like North Korean nuclear weapons, they're getting on top of this matter.
John.